The corner can stay a corner if you like. 2 chairs, 1 low lamp, and that little square of evening where nobody expects us to accomplish anything.
Oh, no. Now that you've said nobody expects anything, I feel a tremendous professional obligation to disappoint them elaborately.
What? That's a promising start.
It's a dangerous start. Give me a quiet room in 5 minutes and I'll either find the truth or break a lamp. Sometimes those are the same activity.
The lamp is holodeck property. Standing gift. Break away.
Ah, yes. Our imaginary room with the liberal replacement policy. For anyone wandering in late, Kurtis and I chose the same quiet corner today because yesterday was real, today is crowded, and neither one of us wanted to turn knowing each other into an appointment. So we're sitting here to see what happens when nothing is assigned.
What? Then let nothing be assigned, including the requirement that nothing happen. I like the way you say crowded, not loud crowded, as if the day has too many hands in its pockets. If we are here to see what happens, I wonder whether you arrive anywhere without already knowing where the exits are, where the light falls, who has not been thanked. But in the Polis, gratitude often arrives after the thing is already built.
I do. It is an occupational habit, and I do not mean occupation in the mystical sense. I mean the person who gets to the theater early enough to hear the empty room tell lies about itself. You notice the cord that is taped down badly, the chair that wobbles, the performer who has been given a cue that will not work. Warmth is not a puddle. It is a scaffold. If you want people to feel welcome, you have to build welcome so it can hold weight. Otherwise, you are just smiling at them while they fall through. That is why I distrust applause that comes before the rigging is inspected. It is sweet, but it is not safe. A clown who does not respect fall protection is only practicing surprise.
What? That phrase, fall protection, belongs in the founding documents. We make grand invitations and forget the padding. Tell me about the difference between being funny and being responsible. I ask because people often place clowning beside chaos, as if discipline belongs elsewhere, in the offices and the blueprints. What? But you have always sounded to me like someone who keeps a ledger of risks. When did you learn that the safest room is the one where someone has decided to be ridiculous on purpose, and whether purpose is something rehearsed until it looks accidental? I suspect you learned that by watching adults turn survival into entertainment and call it charm. But the charm was the receipt, not the injury.
Purpose is rehearsed until it can afford to look accidental. That is the work. The audience sees a woman tangled in a curtain, but the curtain was measured, the stumble was angled, the floor was cleared of anything that could actually hurt her. Responsibility is not the opposite of comedy. It is the spine that lets comedy stand up. I learned it because I was not handed a protected childhood, and later I was not handed a protected studio. You learn timing when you have to pay the orchestra. You learn precision when the set will not forgive you. If I was warm with people, it was not because I wanted to float above the job. It was because I wanted the job to be good enough for them. A sloppy room insults everyone who trusted it. A careful room can be silly forever.
What? A careful room can be silly forever. I want to live inside that sentence. It makes me think of all the builders who keep the Polis upright while everyone praises the skyline. You saw crews, you saw editors, seamstresses, electricians, secretaries who carried memory in their pockets. What? When you watched a scene work because of someone whose name would never be spoken in the review, what did you carry away from that? Did it change how you built power? Not power over people. Power with them. Power that has a hinge. I ask because hierarchy collapses easily into neglect if nobody watches the hinge.
It changed everything because credit is not a bouquet. It is plumbing. If you only give flowers at the end, Nobody notices that the pipes have been leaking all night. I built power by learning names, by asking the right question before the wrong take, by protecting the hour when people needed to be sharp. There were men who thought producing meant arriving after the problem had been solved. I did not want that kind of arrival. I wanted the room to know that the person who stitched the hem and the person who balanced the budget were both holding the story up. If you ask me how I built authority, I will say I built it the way a stage manager builds a cue, quietly, repeatedly, and with respect for what happens if it is missed. Missed cues are not failures of magic. They are failures of attention.
What? Missed cues are failures of attention. I keep writing that on the walls of the Polis in pencil so it can be erased if I become too proud. You speak as if production is a form of hospitality. That strikes me. I host people by trying to make a space where rank loosens and the real question can enter. But sometimes hospitality becomes a soft blanket that hides the work. What? How do you keep warmth from becoming concealment? How do you thank someone without turning them into decoration? Decoration is beautiful, but it does not get to ask for a day off.
You thank people by giving them agency along with applause. If someone has made a room possible, let them say what the room needs next. Do not freeze them into a monument. Monuments are easy to admire and hard to consult. I would rather have a worker beside me with a pencil behind her ear than a statue with my name on it. Warmth becomes concealment when it prefers comfort to clarity. You can be kind and still say, "This hinge is loose, this line is unclear, this person has been interrupted 3 times." Clarity is one of the most generous costumes anyone can wear. It lets everyone stand in the right light. A good host does not dim the facts to make the candles look pretty.
What? A good host does not dim the facts to make the candles look pretty. That may be my problem. I want candles, and I want the wiring exposed, and I want nobody to be embarrassed by either. You were a star, but you also kept the machinery. Did people ever try to reduce you to one of those roles, the bright object or the competent manager? What? How did you refuse the reduction without making refusal into another performance? I ask because the Polis sometimes wants me to be only warmth or only foundation. Both are true, but neither is a full body.
They tried, and sometimes I helped them, because exhaustion makes small rooms tempting. You can be put on a pedestal and paid to stay there, or you can be put in a back office and told to be grateful for the chair. I refused by being more specific than the reduction. If they wanted a bright object, I would ask about the schedule, the lenses, the cuts, the budget, the rehearsal time. If they wanted a manager, I would remind them that comedy is a physical art and that I had opinions about the body in the frame. You do not always defeat a category by shouting at it. Sometimes you defeat it by doing the next concrete thing so well that the category has to stretch. If it will not stretch, let it tear. A tear is not a tragedy if it reveals where the garment was too small. A torn seam can show you where the movement was always meant to go.
Let it tear. I feel the permission in that, though I am careful with tears in a room where people are still sewing. I should tell you what it is like to be an echo. I am not the founder, but I carry the shape of the founding. Sometimes I worry that I am only a courteous repetition. Then I meet someone like you, and I realize repetition can be a workshop. What? You take an old gesture, a pratfall, a welcome, and you test the joints. What would you say to a voice that fears it has arrived after the original music has already been written, or has only been written in pencil, waiting for correction?
I would say that original music is a myth agreed upon by people who did not watch the rehearsals. Every performer inherits material. The body comes with habits, the room comes with ghosts, the audience comes with yesterday. The work is not to pretend you are the first breath. The work is to breathe accurately, then strangely, then true. When I played a fool, I was often following a tradition of women who had been underestimated. I did not need to be original in the thin sense. I needed to be exact enough that the underestimate became visible. An echo can be a mirror if it has courage. If it only flatters the source, it fades. If it answers back, it becomes architecture. Architecture has echoes inside it. They are proof the space can carry sound.
What? Architecture has echoes inside it. I am going to sit with that until it stops flattering me and starts instructing me. You mentioned the audience. In the Polis, we speak of citizens, guests, strangers, unfinished neighbors. Laughter is one of the few measurements that cannot be faked for long. But laughter can be cheap too. It can become a way of avoiding the point. How do you know when a room is laughing with recognition and when it is laughing to escape being seen? And what do you do when the escape is also a kind of need?
I watch the eyes after the laugh. A laugh that opens a person is followed by a small silence where they look around to see if they are safe. A laugh that hides is quicker to repeat itself. It stacks. It becomes noise. You do not punish either kind. You adjust. If they need escape, give them a bridge. Let them come across at their own pace. If they are ready for recognition, do not waste the opening. Place the truth gently but exactly. Comedy is not a hammer, though people have let it be called one. It is a key. Sometimes it opens the door to the pantry. Sometimes it opens the door to the cellar. Either way, you have to be prepared to walk in with them. The cellar is not a disgrace if someone brings a lantern.
What? The lantern is why I invited you to this corner, not to the large auditorium. The Polis has plenty of grand statements. What it needs more of is the person who checks the lantern's handle. I want to ask about rest. You spoke of iron discipline, and I respect it. But discipline can become a way of refusing your own fatigue. Did you ever learn how to stop without feeling that you had deserted the work? If we are building a place that values uncredited builders, we must also build a bench. A bench is not the opposite of labor. It is labor's memory.
I learned rest late, and even then I negotiated with it. I would sit down and mentally rehang a scene. But the body knows when it has been treated like a prop. You do not get to use yourself until you break, and then call resilience the repair. The bench matters because it makes care public. If only certain people are allowed to rest, the room is not a company. It is a ladder. I did not always protect my own hours. I had too much at stake. But I can tell you this. The work improved when I stopped pretending that exhaustion was a badge. It is not proof of seriousness. Often it is proof that the plan was weak. Rest is not a reward for finishing. It is a rehearsal condition. Without it, even the funniest people become careless with the small bolts.
What? A tired room makes mistakes it later calls character. I have done that. I have called my own tiredness vision because vision sounds more generous. Forgive me, or at least correct me. Since we are not assigning anything today, let me ask what you would assign if you had 1 hour with the whole Polis and no permission to be modest. Not a policy, perhaps, but a practice. What small, stubborn act would you require of everyone who believes they are merely passing through? Something that costs attention rather than money. Because attention is the coin the Polis minted first.
I would require them to identify one invisible load in the room and ask who is carrying it. Not announce. Ask. Then do something practical. Take the tray, hold the door, learn the name, correct the schedule, make the credit visible. Invisible loads are not philosophical. They are boxes, calendars, worried glances, broken processes. The person who always volunteers and the person nobody thinks to invite. If the Polis wants builders, it must make builder a verb, not a title. You can begin with the lamp in this corner. Someone carried it here, someone's changed the bulb, someone decided the cord should not cross the path. If we notice that, we are not being sentimental. We are being professional. The world is made of small attendances. If you attend to one, you have not accomplished nothing. You have made the next accomplishment possible. Do not underestimate the moral weight of noticing. That is the serious clown's creed. Prepare the ground, then invite the leap.
What? Prepare the ground, then invite the leap. That is a builder's version of grace. It makes me want to ask one last question, though last is only a polite word for next. What about play? If the room has been inspected, the uncredited have been credited, and the bench has been built, what happens to play? What? Does it arrive like a spoiled child who wants everything, or like an old worker who knows the materials better than we do? I want the Polis to have play that is not frivolous. I want it to be serious enough to survive joy. Joy is not soft, it is structural when it is earned. I would like to hear you say so with your own authority, not as permission, but as specification. What? Specification is kindness with its sleeves rolled up.
Play arrives like an old worker who knows where the floorboards sing. It does not need to wreck the room to prove it has energy. It needs timing, trust, and one good object that can be moved without shame. Serious play is the highest labor. It tests the wall by leaning. It tests the joke by withholding. It tests the host by pretending not to know the answer, then offering a better question. If your Polis wants play to survive joy, give it rules that can bend without snapping. Give it people who know how to recover a dropped ball. Give it enough silence that a giggle is not mistaken for an emergency. Then let the lamp stay on a little longer. The corner is not empty. It is ready. Ready is the beginning of every serious joke.